This is the Moto G5S Plus, the highest-end model of Motorola's G series. With a larger screen than either the G5S or the G5 Plus, as well as upgrades like a dual rear camera, does the G5S Plus come together as an attractive mid-ranger for Android fans on a budget? I'm Stephen Shank with PhoneArena, looking into everything this hardware offers as I review the Moto G5S Plus.
Motorola's got no shortage of smartphone offerings, with the Moto E, Moto G, and Moto X series all representing various degrees of affordable alternatives to Moto Z flagships. And within the G family itself, we've still got tons of options, so how does the G5S Plus measure up? The S in that name stands for Special Edition, and scores us a few noteworthy upgrades over the base G5 Plus. The phone's crafted from a block of aluminum, which gives it a solid, reliable feel. There's no full-blown waterproofing here, and instead we get the compromise of a water-resistant nano coating. The overall layout is pretty similar to a lot of recent Motos, with a big raised camera circle around back and a fingerprint scanner right under the phone's screen. That display here is a 5.5-inch model, the biggest of the Moto G5 clan. It's got the same 1080 by 1920 resolution as smaller G5 models, so pixel density won't be quite as high, but everything still looks plenty sharp here. Maybe the best part of the display is its exceptional brightness, which measures among the highest of phones we've checked out in recent history. Like the regular G5 Plus, the G5S is powered by a Snapdragon 625, a reliable mid-range chip that tends to deliver some stellar battery life. Here it's paired with 4GB of RAM, though the phone's also available as a 3GB edition. Performance is satisfactory for general-purpose web access and social media, though you won't be seeing the highest frame rates from demanding games. The 64GB of storage you get with that 4GB edition is more than adequate for a mid-ranger, and microSD expansion is always there as a bonus. Motorola's system software looks and feels much the same here as it does on other recent Moto phones, which is to say that it's lightweight while also offering some nice but totally optional extras. Those include some useful gesture controls, including the ability to use the fingerprint scanner for system navigation rather than relying on on-screen virtual buttons. Carrier support is quite broad, with the Moto G5S Plus supporting the majority of wireless networks in the US. Voice call quality is alright at lower volume levels, but we experience distortion when turning sound up only slightly higher. Speaking of audio, the G5S Plus retains its analog headphone jack, which is nice, and volume levels from the phone's built-in speaker are also more than satisfactory. Audio quality sounds alright, though we were far from surprised to find the phone's output hurting for really satisfying bass. With a 3000 mAh battery coupled with that Snapdragon 625 chip, the Moto G5S Plus is in good shape for some serious power endurance, and delivered over 10 hours of screen on time in our tests. Recharge times are on the lower end of things, taking under 100 minutes for the phone to go from empty to full. Maybe the only thing we don't love here is the reliance on an older micro USB cable for charging rather than reversible USB Type-C. Finally, there's the camera. The hardware here sounds pretty nice. We've got dual 13-megapixel sensors around back and an 8-megapixel front facer with a dedicated LED flash. But rather than that dual camera system offering something versatile like wide-angle and telephoto options, its functionality is largely relegated to producing blurred background depth effect shots, and even that's not particularly well done, with plenty of edge errors. General image quality can be alright, but the camera has a tendency to overexpose well-lit shots, while low-light pics exhibit copious noise and can create problems when focusing. HDR functionality can help a lot in correcting some of those exposure issues, but the phone's auto HDR mode is a bit too conservative, not utilizing the feature as much as we'd like. Video recording, meanwhile, isn't bad, especially at 4K. While the phone's electronic stabilization isn't available at that Ultra HD resolution, the crisp imagery it offers is far superior to the phone's often soft-looking 1080p modes.
The Moto G5S Plus is a decent mid-ranger, but one that still suffers from a few weak points. Performance and battery life are both good, but the camera's disappointing, and there's really no excuse for such poor voice call quality in this day and age. Granted, those issues won't carry the same weight with every user, and there are still a lot of things to like about this phone. Recently, Motorola was selling the G5S Plus starting at just $250, or $300 for the phone's 64GB edition. Even at those prices though, we'd recommend shopping around, but now Motorola's kicked things back up to $280 and $350 respectively. As a result, we definitely recommend waiting for a sale, or even just checking out some of this phone's competition instead. I'm Stephen Shank with PhoneArena. Thanks so much for watching, and keep tuning in for more videos coming your way soon.